I'll be honest, I usually will tend to be the type of person that will stick with a solution for way too long just because I don't feel like switching. And then I will finally get to a point where it will drive me so crazy that I will literally switch everything all at once. And that is pretty much what I did this year. I switched everything. I switched my bookkeeping software, my payroll software, my business banking. I literally just made the shift all across the board. And I'll be honest, some of it was amazing. I'm so glad I did it. Some of it was a little bit of a hassle, but I'm still mostly glad I did it. And the great thing is I can actually teach you what I learned through that switching process and let you know what I'm using now and why. So if you're in the same mode where you just kind of want to switch up everything because you're tired of it all and you want a new system that actually works for you, then let's talk about what's working for me in 2025 and going forward. So if you're feeling anything like I was and you're just ready to switch it all over, it's driving you crazy, well, this is the video for you, and you can learn from some of my lessons and mistakes along the way. Hi everyone, I'm Jamie Trull, your favorite CPA and financial educator, and here on this channel, I love to bring you all the things to keep you informed, organized, and profitable in your business finances, so please make sure to subscribe. All right, so now on to the tools that I'm actually going to be using in 2026 and going forward. What is working right now? And let me tell you, it's different than when I first started my business 6 or 7 years ago. Side note, if any of you are middle school moms like I am sorry, but I cannot keep going without saying this because I just said 6 or 7, so now I have to do it. 6, 7. All right, so now let's jump into it. I'm going to walk you through the tools that I switched to, why I made the switch, and what I like, and where I've run into some roadblocks for each one of these. And I'm not saying that the solutions that I chose are going to be the same ones you will choose. I actually have some tools that can help you make that decision. However, I will tell you what my thought process was and what I like the most about these solutions and see if it's a good fit for you. Oh yes, and of course I will make sure to be mentioning any partner deals that I have, because when I like a program, I will pretty much immediately go and try to negotiate the best possible deals with them for my audience. So you will be able to find deals you cannot get elsewhere right here. And of course, stick around to the end because I'm going to tell you the #1 mistake people make when they are switching software systems and how you can avoid it. Now, first, let's talk about business banking. So my journey with business banking has been a little bit of a long one, to be honest. When I first started my business, I really struggled to find a bank that did what I wanted it to do. And the main thing I was looking for was a business bank that did envelope type budgeting, where I could actually create either separate reserves or even fully separate accounts where I could track things like taxes, reinvesting in my business, payroll, all kinds of things. I actually teach a method called profit planning, which talks about how you can divide up your business money into multiple different buckets. And I really wanted to find a banking system that could actually handle what I wanted to do with my money so I wouldn't have to continue to rely on spreadsheets to do all of that tracking. So back in the day, my first business banking platform that I found that did this was Xero. It was great for a time. It had little envelopes that I could put money into. Well, then Xero went away, unfortunately, and so I had to change. And then I switched over to Novo, which had very similar functionality. And I really did like Novo. I actually still have my Novo account that I'm using sort of as a separate account to put money aside. However, there were a few reasons that I decided to start looking at other business banking options. Now, that first reason was that I felt like with Novo, I was missing out on interest. Sometimes I can keep some significant cash reserves, especially if I'm saving for something like taxes or reinvesting back into my business. And so I wanted to make sure that I was able to get some type of interest on those funds that were just sitting there unused. And I also like the idea of having a little bit more functionality in terms of what my team could do. As my team was growing and it wasn't just me anymore, I wanted to give my team access to have their own virtual debit cards that they could use and even be able to budget specific accounts just for them. So when I went searching for this type of functionality, I really knew that it was probably going to be a fintech that was going to be able to fulfill those needs. And what a fintech is basically just a financial tech company that's built on top of an existing FDIC insured bank. So they partner with the FDIC insured bank, but then they create really cool solutions, really cool apps, functionality that allow you to do all of these types of things that you probably couldn't do if you were going to just use your bank down the street. Now, of course, fintechs might not be the best fit for everyone, especially if you deal a lot in cash, because it's not super easy to go and deposit cash in most of them or withdraw cash. However, because most of what I do is online anyway, I really love all the cool functionality that you can get with a fintech banking solution. Now, after going to lots of accounting conferences and talking with many of the different banking platforms that were there, I actually settled on Relay. And Relay was the very first business banking platform that I saw that had the functionality that I was really looking for. And they were also Profit First certified. So if anybody's read Profit First, it's another methodology for managing your money in your business. It's a book written by Mike Michalowicz. And so I knew they would have the functionality to do my profit planning because they had that functionality built in for Profit First. And so with Relay, the thing I loved is that I could open up multiple different accounts at the click of a button. I could do automations, all kinds of things. However, I opened my Relay account last year, but I didn't start using it as my real main business banking platform until this year. And this year, I finally went ahead and switched everything over and went through the process of going and looking at all of my income and making sure that it was all getting deposited into the correct bank account. And similarly, making sure that my credit cards were paying from there as well, and any other payments that I was making, like payroll, were being pulled from the correct account. So that probably took actually just a couple hours. It wasn't even as hard as I thought it was going to be to switch over. I don't know why I waited so long. However, I had been waiting for some new features that Relay finally rolled out. So one of the things I was using consistently in Novo was their invoicing functionality. I don't like to pay for people to be able to pay me by ACH. And so I really liked that function in Novo where I could send an invoice via Novo and people could pay me via ACH for free. And now Relay has rolled out a very similar function for invoicing. It actually has even a little bit more features. I love that I can automate some of the invoicing for invoices I send every month. And so that has been great. So that was the final thing that I was waiting on to make the full switch. So that's what I did this year. I moved everything over. Again, it really took maybe 2 hours at most just to get everything moved over and set up the way that I wanted it. But now that it's the end of the year, I'm so glad I did it. Now, to be honest, I'll probably keep my Novo account open, like I said, just as kind of a backup account. I think that's always a good idea. Or if I just want to squirrel some money away that I sort of forget about until I need it, that can be a good idea as well. But from now on, most of my transactions are going to be running directly through Relay. All right. Moving on. Not only did I switch my business banking this year, I also switched my bookkeeping software. And this, y'all, was a big one. This one took a lot of thought because I have been a QuickBooks Online user since I started my business. And in fact, I have used QuickBooks since even before that. QuickBooks is the name that's out there. When you start a business, one of the first things you probably do is go check out QuickBooks because that's what everyone seems to use. And I don't dislike QuickBooks. I'm still an affiliate for QuickBooks. I still think that it could be the right solution for some people. But my audience was asking me to try out other solutions and if there were any alternatives to QuickBooks that I would recommend. And I will tell you that I tried out some of the same solutions I tried this year a few years ago, and I did not recommend them then. I'll be honest, I really didn't. But this year, things have changed. The functionality has changed. They've rolled out some features that I think were really necessary. And in fact, I think there are actually some better solutions, especially depending on your needs out there, than QuickBooks Online. And one of the other reasons that got me looking at this is that I saw the writing on the wall with QuickBooks Online. It is no secret that there has been some consternation around QuickBooks changing pricing, QuickBooks getting rid of their desktop version, at least in the way that we knew it before, QuickBooks competing with accountants. So there's just been a lot out there in the QuickBooks world, and they're also starting to target bigger companies, not so much your true small businesses that I work with and that I love. So that was really the impetus for me to say, We need another alternative. So I actually found a few that I really like, especially depending on what your needs are in your business. But for me, the one that was going to meet the needs of my main business best was Xero. And that kind of came as a surprise. In the past, I didn't love that they didn't have a very good reconciliation feature, honestly, that I was used to being an accountant in the US. And that made sense because Xero is actually based in New Zealand. So they have a huge market globally, but they really weren't massive in the US until really a couple of years ago. And so now they've rolled out more features that have made the US market a lot happier and have made US accountants a lot happier. And I am seeing people move in droves. I'm a really big fan of the underdogs. That's another reason that I love Xero. I feel like they're that perfect number 2 underdog, but I really love the functionality. I love the interface. I actually think it's more intuitive than the Intuit product, which is QuickBooks. So for me, it just felt like such a slam dunk move to Xero. And I'll tell you that even I, somebody who teaches numbers, sometimes can struggle to want to go in and take a look at my bookkeeping and make sure that everything is correct, right? I have been more on top of my bookkeeping this year than ever before because it's so much easier with Xero. I've automated a ton of it. I've made rules. I am using tracking categories. I'm doing all kinds of things that I really love and have given me lots of insights into my business that I didn't have previously. So I've done lots of videos about Xero, including how to switch to Xero if you're using QuickBooks or really any other platform this will apply. You can check those videos out, and also my comparison to QuickBooks if you're wondering what's different about it. Definitely check that video out next, because I will tell you Xero is such a great solution. And of course, if you're interested in signing up for Xero, make sure to use my link. I have the best deal out there. I gotta tell you right now, and this is subject to change, it is on sale with my link for 95% off for 6 full months. Plus, Xero is going to gift you a copy of my new book, Hidden Profit. So that is super exciting, and you definitely want to go check that out. Go to jamietrull.com/Xero. Again, that deal will change in the future, so you're going to want to go ahead and get signed up to get the best deal. All right, now on to payroll. I also switched payroll this year. Now, I have switched payroll 3 times with my company thus far. Part of that is just because I love to try out different payroll systems, see how they compare and contrast, find ones that my audience is really going to love as well. And some of that is because our needs change over time as a small business. I've actually hired 2 more employees full-time this year. And so as my business gets bigger, my needs change. So over time, I'd gotten to know the people at OnPay through accounting conferences, and I really liked them. I really liked what they had to say and what they stood for. And so I decided to give OnPay a try. Now, what I love is that OnPay has been around for a while. They're not just some startup fly-by-night payroll company that has shot up, which there are lots of those to go check out as well. But OnPay's been around the block for a while. They know what they are doing. However, they've also kept up on the technology front. So they are not archaic. Things are very, very functional, easy to use, intuitive, and that's something that I've really liked about OnPay. And one of the main reasons that I decided to switch is because it was actually going to save me money. I have employees in 5 different states. We all work remotely, and I'm not a big business. I only have 5 employees, but we all live in different states. And most other payroll platforms were either going to charge me more because I had employees in multiple states, or I was going to have to upgrade to a higher package in order to be able to pay my employees in those various states, but not with OnPay. So I originally went that direction because of that, but what I found in that process is how great their customer service actually is. They had told me that I would have an onboarding specialist that would help me get set up, and I really just assumed, I might hear from them one time and then never again, or they'd be really hard to get a hold of, or maybe it'd be different people, and that could not have been farther from the truth. My girl, shout out to Pamela, who was there the whole way, making sure I knew what was happening, making sure that I knew what I had to do, and make sure that we were good to go for that first payroll, which she actually ran on the phone with me. We did it together. So I'm really, really impressed thus far with OnPay. It has been a great experience, great onboarding experience, and now we're in the process of moving over my 401k. If I'm honest, that's probably been the most complicated part of all of this, and I'm making a video all about how that switch went that's going to be coming out soon. So make sure you subscribe if you're interested in seeing how I actually switched my 401k and the things to avoid. And if you do decide to switch over to OnPay, of course, make sure to use my code jamietrull.com/OnPay. And that's going to give you a $100 referral bonus for using my link. All right, now I'm going to tell you about that big mistake that I see people make all the time when it comes to switching. And honestly, it's waiting too long. It's waiting too long to make the switch. Sometimes we get so used to the things that we have that we're just dealing with the frustrations because we're used to it. And to be honest, it takes a toll even if we don't realize it. So once you kind of get these new systems in order, it's almost like spring cleaning for your business finances. There's a different energy involved. You feel like you can actually make sense of your numbers, and it feels like there's more of a flow. It doesn't mean that there aren't going to be some snafus, some things you need to work out. Be prepared for that, right? We don't want to have to do this in a very short period of time. Give yourself a little bit of transition time in between. Like I said, maybe you stick around with your other bank, or maybe you don't close it at all, right? Or perhaps you do a little bit of double bookkeeping just to make sure you are good to go in the new system before getting rid of the old one. There is no shame in that. So don't feel like you have to have everything done and ready immediately to be able to make the switch. And I'll tell you, once you do it, it's just gonna feel so much fresher, so much better, so much lighter. And if you feel like everything's kind of a mess, I'll tell you, starting fresh and clean is a great feeling. Even though my books were in general decent shape, I still was able to make some improvements with how I was tracking things that are more in line with how I look at my business today versus how I set things up 6 years ago. So if you're thinking about switching any of your financial tools, I have some goodies for you. Make sure to check out the description below for all the links and these special deals that I have on not just the tools that I have mentioned in this video, but also many other tools that you might want to use in your business. Now, if you want to go deeper or you're wondering what I'm using for my personal finances, make sure to subscribe because I'm going to be doing a video on that soon too. I made a lot of changes when it came to my personal finances this year, and I have some really cool new tools to share with you in another video. Thanks for watching, and remember, you don't just need more tools, you need the right tools in your business that are going to help you stay informed, organized, and profitable. I'll see you next time.